All right, so this video is basically just going to be about some of the technology that scientists have been working on that can literally read people's minds. And then obviously, I'm going to go into the huge Orwellian implications of that. And also, specifically, I'm going to be talking about a video report from CBS that is actually called Reading Your Mind, and how they use this MRI type machine that can read and define specific thoughts in people. So this first clip just talks about the actual mind reading experiment that they're doing.
Okay, you ready to get started?
They did an experiment where they asked subjects to think about 10 objects, 5 of them tools like screwdriver and hammer, and 5 of them dwellings like igloo and castle, then recorded and analyzed the activity in their brains for each.
You had them think about a screwdriver, and the computer found the place in the brain where that person was thinking screwdriver?
Screwdriver isn't one place in the brain, it's many places in the brain. When you think of a screwdriver, you think about how you hold it, how you twist it, what it looks like, what you use it for.
And each of those functions are in different places?
Correct.
Just as when we think screwdriver or igloo, for example, neurons start firing at varying levels of intensity in different areas throughout the brain.
And we found that we could identify which object they were thinking about from their brain activation patterns.
You're reading their mind.
We're identifying the thought that's occurring. It's
Whoa.
incredible, just incredible.
Are you?
Okay, so this next clip shows one of the CBS staffers named Megan actually going through the mind reading experiment.
Her brain.
Inside the scanner, Megan was shown a series of 10 items and asked to think for a few seconds about each one.
If it all comes out right, when she's thinking hammer, the computer will know she's thinking hammer.
Right.
Okay, we're all done.
So Megan,
Yes.
how was it?
It wasn't bad.
Good.
Within minutes, the computer, unaware of what pictures Megan had been shown, and working only from her brain activity patterns as read out by the scanner, was ready to tell us, in its own voice, what it believed was the first object Megan had been thinking about.
I think the word is knife.
All right, one.
Right.
Bingo. All right.
Then the second.
I think the word is hammer.
All right.
I think the word is window.
It's perfect, right?
So far.
And it continued to be, word after word.
Apartment.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
So one thing I noticed throughout this whole video was the scientist attitude and how excited and gung-ho they are to be working on this type of technology. And it makes me wonder if they even consider an idea that this could be just totally used and abused by the different governments of the world to further the police state and the New World Order that they're setting up right now. And I don't know if they're ignorant of that or they just don't care, but it's pretty disturbing if you think about that. So since I've been researching all this different technology, one thing that keeps popping up in my mind is how similar it is to a science fiction book you would read. And basically the next clip just shows one of the scientists reaffirming that.
I always tell my students that there is no science fiction anymore. All the science fiction I read in high school, we're doing.
All right, so the next few clips from here start to get a little creepier. In this one, the reporter asks the scientist if any governments have shown any interest in what they're doing, and he responds saying this.
Have any national security agencies been in touch with you?
Not in the U.S.
Anywhere in the world?
Yes,
Yes.
in Germany, but...
I mean, of course, it's pretty obvious that they would be interested in mind-reading technology when they're trying to set up a one-world fascist dictatorship that we're all going to have to live under. So just the fact that there's technology becoming available that can literally read our minds, it is just getting so bizarre, and no government should ever be allowed to have this type of power. Okay, and the next clip, it starts to get really bizarre. They start talking about different ways that they could use this technology. You wouldn't necessarily have to lay down and be strapped in and put in their MRI machine. They start going into some pretty crazy ways that they're going to be able to read your mind.
about this.
For now, it's impossible to force someone to have his or her brain scanned because the subject has to lie still and cooperate. But that could change.
There are some other technologies that are being developed that may be able to be used covertly and even remotely. So, for example, they're trying to develop now a beam of light that would be projected onto your forehead. It would go a couple of millimeters into your frontal cortex, and then receptors would get the reflection of that light. And there's some studies that suggest that we could use that as a lie detection device.
And we wouldn't know we've got a red dot in our forehead?
No, you wouldn't. If you were sitting there in the airport and being questioned,
Yeah.
they could beam that on your forehead without your knowledge. We can't do that yet, but they're working on it.
Okay, so first off, when they say we can't do that yet, referring to the different ways they could use this technology, using a laser and such to read your mind, it should be noted this video was made over a year ago, and then also the fact that they usually don't tell us the full extent of how powerful their technology really is till decades after they already made it. And actually the next clip goes into what I was just saying of how far away this technology really is. The guy says he thinks it's around 5 years away before they can start actually using machines to read complex thoughts. So if he says 5 years, and that was over a year ago, and they usually lie about how powerful their technology really is, I would assume that they already have machines that can do that. So there is a chance that they're either covertly doing it now, but I would be willing to bet that they are definitely setting up ways to do this in the near future.
Who knows how far into the future. There'll be a machine that'll be able to read very complex thought, like, I hate so-and-so, or, you know, I love the ballet because.
Definitely, definitely. And not in 20 years, I think in 3-5 years.
So for the past few days since I first saw this video, I've just been thinking about the huge implications this means for the New World Order to further their agenda of total enslavement of the human race. And I mean, just the fact that now, once they get these machines up and running and effective, they could literally start putting in thought crimes. I mean, literal thought crimes like in 1984. I mean, maybe police officers could start carrying, like a radar gun, they could start carrying some kind of mind reader gun, or they could maybe see if you're lying to them. But you know, once this technology starts getting more readily available to the governments, they're going to find a way to try to sell it to the dumbed down public, just like they do everything else. They'll probably say, well, if you're not a terrorist, why does it matter if we can read your thoughts? I mean, as long as you're not doing anything wrong, it's okay for us to use brain scanners on you, right? Or they'll start saying, well, it could stop terrorism because we could read people's brains at an airport. And actually, I think they already have something like that. It's called like a hostility reader, and they supposedly say they can read if you have any hostile intent by looking at certain areas of your brain. So, I mean, technology is just another tool, and it could be used for good or evil, but it seems the way the world is going, and whenever you hear about the latest technology, it always involves either just mindless fluff and entertainment to keep us dumbed down and stupid, like video games or the newest iPod, or you start hearing about all the new weapons they're making, and then also this surveillance type technology, and where they can now literally read our minds. So that'll be it for now. I'll go ahead and post some links if you guys want to look further into what I'm talking about. And in the near future, you can expect me to start trying to put out more videos on a regular basis.